Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 737. I'm Kristin Omdahl, and we're here live in Southwest Florida in my studio this morning. If you are joining me live, please say hello. Let me know if you are crafting this morning. Let me know if you have questions for me. Let's see, who's here? Good morning, Grace and Lily and Judy. Good morning. Hi, Pamela. I'm not sure if I can read from here, but I can definitely read from here. I'll do my best. So, hi, Christine. Good morning. Hi, Donna. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Doesn't it feel like a weird short week? Anytime there's a holiday in the middle of the week, I think it's very confusing. Hi, Mariana and Judy. Good morning. So, anybody that doesn't know, hi, Joe and Brenda. Here in the U.S., we had U.S. Thanksgiving yesterday. Hi, Naomi and Angela and Barbara and Sharon. So if you celebrated, I hope you had a nice holiday. And if you didn't, I hope you had a nice Thursday anyway. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Angela. Hi, Geraldine. Hi, Sharon. Good morning. Welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 737. I'm Kristin Omdahl, and we're here live in Southwest Florida in my studio this morning. Hi, G. Good morning. I have a lot to do in here today, and I was actually going to hi, Cherie. I was actually going to try to get outside today, but a question came in overnight on one of my videos here. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Donna. A question on a knit skirt video came in overnight here, and I thought it was such a great question and seemed like something that would make sense to talk about on the podcast this morning, especially since it's a beginner type of a question for knitting. And I feel like, even though I feel like the within our community, the people that join us that are crocheters run the gamut of beginner through intermediate and some really seasoned crocheters as well. Whereas of the knitting community here on my YouTube channel, I feel runs a little more beginner than it does intermediate or advanced, which it just is what it is. I'm not making judgment at all on it. It's just my observation. So anytime questions come in on knitting that are beginner questions, I always feel like it inspires me to talk about it on the podcast, because I feel like it's something that can apply to a lot of people here. I try to keep niche questions to videos and more general questions that apply to most people to the podcast. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about this morning. Oh, are we still live? Yes, we are. Hi, Val. Good morning. Hi, Donna. Hi, Thea. Hi, Carrie. Thank you, Brenda. I love the way my studio looks these days. Thank you. Oh, and the shawl looks like a bird in flight. So cute. Thank you. I do love draping shawls like that. Like, I do love, if I may end up doing something like that up here instead of the mannequins at one point. I do love the way shawls look when they're open. They do look like wings, whether it's birds, angels, whatever you want to describe them as, but they definitely do look like wings. For years, I've been wanting to design some shawls that literally look like feathered wings. I think that would be so fun. It's always on the list. It's just on that list that keeps growing. Yes, Sharon, it's always good to come back to the basics, because you never know who's learned what from whom, and depending on where you learned, you may have just learned things specifically to your needs in the beginning, and you'd be amazed at I am amazed sometimes at how many times I've gone over something, a basic instruction, whether it's knitting or crochet, just a basic tip or trick, and even people that have been doing that particular craft for a very long time said, oh wow, I never knew that before. Or, oh my gosh, I remember learning that, but I had forgotten about it. Thanks for the reminder. So basics can always spark some sort of an old memory or an old skill set and bring it back, or be something that you never learned before that can actually make your knitting or crocheting a lot easier or smoother, or easier to get started. Some people having connection issues. Sorry about that. Hopefully it gets better. Good morning, Judy. Judy's sharing the link to what I'm wearing. I'm wearing one of my favorite Amazon dresses. This is the Fit and Flare dress that has a sewn seam in the waistline, which gives you a little more structure for going in and out. And any of you that have curves like me, you know how important it is to separate bust from waist. Otherwise, we can look the same size as our waist all the way, our same size as our bust all the way down. So this one, if I stand on my tippy toes, you can see how long it is on me. This one's, oh, I don't know, about 3 or 4 inches above my knee. Not short, but not long either. And it normally comes as a tank top style. It's rounded in the front and V-neck in the back, which I actually wear it both ways. I think it's fun to do V-neck or round. And so even though the tag is in the back, I think it's reversible. And I am wearing it with the demi sleeves. So these are really, really simple sleeve, cap sleeve that I made, which is really just a glorified half circle motif. So it's a beautiful half circle motif crocheted in a pretty lace pattern that we then sewed into the armhole opening. And if you're not familiar with the schematics and the shapes that create different things in three dimension, like within garments, a half circle motif works really well in a sleeve hole opening for creating a cap sleeve. I get questions. You can find the pattern on my website. There's a video tutorial for it here on YouTube. This is in Be So Fine yarn in colorway Passionate Plum, which obviously looks super cute with the purple dress from Amazon. I get questions all the time about this pattern though. How would you make the sleeves longer? So in order to create the original half circle shape, you follow the stitch pattern, which is increasing top down to create this shape. Now, if you wanted to make it longer from here, you wouldn't need to add any more volume. At this point, you would want to make it go straight. You wouldn't want it to keep growing, right? Because it would just become like a wing over here. If you wanted it to come down and just stay a sleeve, you would repeat the last row so that you would maintain your stitch pattern and not grow it anymore. And I want to pause for a minute as I'm saying that to see if there's any questions, because that could be too conceptual for some people, and I want to try to explain it because it's a lot simpler than you may think to make these sleeves longer. And I'll come up really close so you can see. So it does end up being more like a scalloped edging on the bottom rows here, but if you repeat that last row, it will, instead of increasing and continuing the half circle shape, it will start making it go smooth. So kind of like when you're working a hat, you make the hat where you're increasing the crown from the top down, and then when you start working even, it forces it to come down in a different direction and make the sides of the hat, right? Same with if you're making a bowl. A bowl's done the same way as a hat. You do that increasing for the base, and then when you start working even in pattern, it just starts growing in that different direction to create walls. Well, same with something like this. We did all that increasing. Instead of as a whole circle, we did it as a half circle, and then now if you start working even in pattern, it'll just start growing straight in the other direction, and that would give you a smooth line for a sleeve. Hopefully that visual will help some people to visually understand what I'm talking about, but I want to hold off and see if anybody has any questions about that, because it's a great candidate for altering and modifying, and it doesn't require too much work, too much thought. So I want to see if that makes sense to anybody, because I do get questions about it a lot. Where's my water? Yes, the dress would look really nice with long sleeves. I agree, Barbara. I still have that black. I bought this in black to make a long sleeve and a longer skirt dress. I plan on doing a longer edging for the lower hem and long sleeves on that one. I'm even thinking about doing those sleeves just in like crochet mesh or like a picot mesh. You know, when you do a mesh but then do a picot where you do the single crochet. I just feel like that kind of a stitch pattern is so elegant, a little bit sexy. It almost gives you like a fishnet stocking vibe. I think that would be so pretty on the long sleeve dress. And then maybe do a more ornate stitch pattern for the lace edging on the skirt, but maybe pick up some of that mesh in the pattern so that they kind of coordinate. Whenever I'm mixing patterns, I like to pick an element from one to work into the other. We talk about this a lot when I talk about designing shawls. Like whatever I use in the body of the shawl, if I'm trying to create an edging for that shawl. If I'm not doing something high contrast, which sometimes high contrast is fun too, but if I'm trying to use something that picks up on something in the pattern, I will take a component of the stitch pattern and maybe amplify it in the edging, or incorporate a little bit of something in it. So for this example, I was thinking that if I do a super simple mesh sleeve on the black dress, in the more ornate edging, I will incorporate some amount of mesh or picot mesh in there to try to get them to, play off of each other. Good morning, Sandshell. I think I heard someone say they've heard from Melissa. That's wonderful news. I know we're all thinking about Melissa and hoping she comes back to join us soon. Hopefully she feels better soon, obviously. Excuse me. Hi, Naomi. Hi, Rose. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Bertha. Hi, Rita. Good morning. All right, does anybody have any other questions about this pattern? So this is the demi sleeve pattern. You can find it on my website as a PDF download. It comes with charts too. You can also find a supplemental tutorial video for it here on YouTube, and it's probably a one ball project in the tidbits. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's in Be So Fine yarn, which is my #1 fingering weight bamboo yarn. This is colorway Passionate Plum. I'm pretty sure I used tidbits for it. Can't remember if I used 1 or 2, but they are still on sale. If you have not taken advantage of my pre-holiday sales, so that incorporates Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and everything else that goes on this crazy shopping week. I've got tons of sales and bundles and promotions going on my website. I'll answer that question in a second, Barbara. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I have a blog, most recent blog post talks about the holiday sale and sends you links to everything. Judy's posting a link to the holiday sales as well. The holiday sales will last through Monday, so even if you've already taken advantage of it and you want to get some more, there is no limit. There's no coupon codes and no limit. Just go back and have a ball. And we're shipping as quickly as possible to get everything out as quickly as possible. And what I wanted to get to is that the tidbits are on sale. So the tidbits of Be So Fine yarn, which are 1/3 of a ball, great for doing sleeves, great for doing crochet on fabric, great for doing jewelry, all sorts of reasons to use the little tidbits, or to do color work. We've done lots of shawls like we talked about the other day, where if you buy 3, 4, or 5 of them, you've got enough to make a full-size shawl or a garment, but then you can do color work instead of having to buy 650 yards of each one. So anyway, lots of reasons to take advantage of the sale of the tidbits. They retail for $10.99, but they're on sale for only $8.99 this week. We've got all the colors in stock, and they're so gorgeous in so many different ways you can mix and match them. I think we have 26 or 30 colors. It's a lot. Hi, Granny. Good morning. Hi, Judy. Okay, so then the next question, there were a couple of questions about the sleeves now. Does the sleeve go all the way around? I do not, almost. At this point, it almost comes all the way around. It comes almost. But as you would work this sleeve even, you could then sew the seam up along the back side here. And let's say that yours didn't go all the way around. You could always work a row of double crochet along the edge of that sleeve on the bottom side here. You could work a row or 2 of double crochet to create that distance between the two, so that, and then you would just have one little section of a seam before you sewed the seam. So even if they didn't come all the way around, you could do it, and if they did, you would just sew down that seam. It's not necessary in a cap sleeve to sew it, but as you would grow this sleeve longer, you would probably want to sew it. I have seen looks where you do a petal, I think it's called a petal sleeve, and that's when you don't close up that seam, and and that's pretty too. So you'll have to just try it on and see what looks good for you. Do you block the sleeve before you sew it on? Yes, you do. You won't know the full length, the full size of it until you see it after it's reacted with water. So in order to get these seams lined up perfectly between a machine-made item and something handmade is to make sure that it's ready for being reacted to water, or ready it's already reacted to water so that you know how it's going to lay flat on here. So you would want to block the sleeve, and I've done this in videos, I've done this in posts on social media, maybe even a blog post. So you would take your blocking mats like we did the other day, and you would you would wash it with a little bit of soap and water, or you could use a steam iron if you were just blocking it for the first time. Anything with water is going to work for this. Obviously, when you're washing something, you wash with soap eventually anyway. However, whether you want to steam it or wash it, you can, and then you want to get as much of the water out as possible, lay it flat, stretching it taut, and pin it out on the blocking mat. And then as it dries, it will keep its shape, and then you can sew it in. I have since then washed this in the washing machine, washed the dress, and I've never had to block the sleeves again. Isn't that amazing? So what I do now when I wash the dress is I definitely put it in a laundry bag, because I want to protect it from anything else in the washing machine. I wash it on a gentle cycle with Be So Clean soap, and then I hang mine to dry, but you could definitely throw it in the dryer as well, as long as you kept it in the laundry bag. And I've washed this dress, oh my gosh, no less than 10 times, and I've never had to block the sleeves other than that first time. So I think that's pretty amazing. Let's see. This particular one is crocheted and then sewn on. Good day. I have other crochet on fabric patterns that are crocheted right onto the fabric, and that is even a category in my crochet pattern shop. So if you wanted to search by crochet on fabric patterns, you absolutely can in my crochet shop. And on the new website, it won't be crochet pattern shop, it'll just be the shop, and you'll still be able to filter by patterns, crochet patterns, yarn, whatever, but you'll also still be able to filter by crochet on fabric or type of yarn or type of project. But the good news is everything will be in the same shop, so then you can combine your searches as well. If you want to look at #1 fingering weight yarn and #1 fingering weight patterns and just crochet patterns and just crochet on fabric patterns, you could actually search all that at the same time. How cool is that? So we're working really hard behind the scenes to get lots of amazing features in the new website, and one of them is going to be a very intense filter for searching yarn and patterns and products, and I'm really excited about it. And obviously we'll talk about it, and I'll show you how to use it when the time comes. We'll do some sort of a video with showing my computer screen so I can show you how to use it, but it's really cool. And the fact that you can search the same type of yarn as the same type of patterns at the same time, I think that's really cool. And then when you're done with any given search, you can go back and clear your filters and start all over and browse everything, or pick out a new custom set of filters. It's very cool, very exciting. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be actually very helpful to customers too. I think to be able to look at a type of pattern and the types of yarns that are appropriate for those patterns would be very helpful. Or convenient to do it all at one time. Okay, if there are no more questions about this, I am going to move on to something else. Thank you, Grace. Yes, I'm very excited about that. I don't think there's any more questions about the top. Okay, well, I'll just start talking about the next subject. If we have to come back, we will. So last night I got a question on a knit skirt pattern. Somebody who had, probably a newer knitter, I'm not sure, somebody had started the dress or skirt pattern, and they were working on a circular needle, and they weren't paying attention to what size circular needle for the pattern, and they said they were running into a lot of trouble because the circular needle was too big for the pattern. And that's something that I thought would be a good thing to talk about this morning. Do I have a knit version of the sleeves? I don't believe so, Sharon. I do think that I have some knit edging, like knit on fabric patterns, but I don't believe I have a knit sleeve. If anybody remembers that and I'm wrong, please feel welcome to correct me. but I don't think I have a knit sleeve pattern yet. But that is a great suggestion, Sharon, and it's something I should get on as soon as possible because I love the idea of it, and you know how much I love embellishing store-bought clothes or closet finds, which reminds me, I found an amazing tool for my closet last week and it arrived and I haven't been able to use it in my closet. As soon as I do, I will share it with you. I think I found a way to take a boring, like really not fancy closet, and I found a tool that might make it a little more of a custom closet, so, and give me twice as much space for hanging things. Like, I'm ridiculously excited about the potential, but I've got to try it out before I share it with you. So when I do, I will. And it was cheap too. So, I mean, what could be better than that? N2 Crochet, I can't think of your name on there. Cleverness Lady, Creative Cleverness, good morning. Thanks for joining us live. A lady, okay. Yeah, so I'm excited to tell you about the closet find. Anyway, why was I mentioning the closet? What came out of that? I don't know. But yes, knit on fabric, we should definitely do more. Oh, picking stuff out of the closet. I said not just from store-bought, but putting new life into stuff in your closet that you're not excited about anymore. Doing embellishment with yarn is a great way to bring new life to your wardrobe. So whether it's with knit on fabric, crochet on fabric. So yes, knit sleeves like this is a great idea. Knit sleeves in general, lace, whatever. There's all sorts of, I thought I did something. Anyway, obviously I didn't if no one's piping up. So let's move on then. It took me forever to find this hat this morning because I wanted to have at least an example of a knit piece to have a visual to show you what I'm talking about. So the person that was making the skirt says she was having trouble with her circular needles because they were too big for the skirt she was making. Now, I do not know what size she was making. I do not know what size needles she was using, but I can give you some really basic thoughts to ask yourself, or questions to ask yourself when you're getting started on a knit project that will require you to knit in the round. You have lots of options, but one thing you don't have an option of is working with straights. Once you want to work in the round on a project, and to say this, could you convert something to knitting flat and then sew it together at the end? Absolutely. If you're not comfortable with knitting in the round and you only like to work on straights, most of the time you can convert an in the round pattern into working in rows and then sew it up at the end. I do have some one of the knit basic bulky hat on in my knitting pattern shop actually shows you instructions for knitting a hat in rows and rounds for those of you that are intimidated by working in the round. And the reason why I did that way back when is because when I first started knitting, I was intimidated to work in the round too. And anytime something involved knitting in the round, I was like, whoa, I don't want to do that. I'll work it in rows and I'll sew it up at the end, until I got over my fear and I tried other options. So first of all, if you don't want to knit in the round, you can knit on your straights, convert the pattern, and sew up the seam at the end. It takes a little bit of work to convert the pattern, especially if there's a different type of a stitch pattern. It can be complicated or it can be super easy, but it is an option. The next option is to work with double pointed needles. Okay, so these are like straights, right? They're still a solid needle. And instead of working back and forth on rows, you could then work them in sections around. So I have this on a circular needle right now, but if I wanted to convert this to double points, I would put double points. And I've done videos on this and I've done posts about this and photos. You can certainly look them up. So you would put a quarter of the stitches on each of the 4 needles as you're holding needle, and then you would knit off of them with the 5th one. That's another option. Some people do them with putting 1/3 of their stitches on 3 needles and then knitting off of the 4th. Either way you can do that. Then the other option is to work a circular that is the appropriate circle for, so this is a similar one to the one that's on here. I want to show you this. So this is a circular needle. Let's measure it. Because regardless of how they're measured, sometimes they're measured by the cord, sometimes from tip to tip. This one should be a 16. Okay, it's looking at it like it's about 15 and a half. Maybe I'm measuring wrong. Anyway, so this would be let's call it a 16 because I think that's what this one is called. A 16-inch circular is really good for hats and sleeves because you can get your stitches all the way around it. And so what I want to explain though is that when you're working with a circular circumference, you